In this video, I'm going to be talking about abandonment wounds, specifically attachment wounds, and how it's affecting your current life. No matter if you want to change your romantic relationships, your relationship at your job, or even your relationship with money, understanding your attachment wounds and how they show up in your life is the first step in order for you to create a different dynamic. I'm going to be using the board to help break down visually how these dynamics are created and how you can start to step out of it. I know that if you watch until the end of this video, it will change your life, because understanding the dynamic that I'll be showing you is what has completely changed my life when it comes to romantic relationships. I kept chasing after people. I kept finding emotionally unavailable people who I had to prove myself to, because I was recreating an unconscious dynamic. When I started to become aware of these things, it completely changed how I saw myself, and therefore how I can show up in the world has radically changed. I know that when you understand this and apply it to your life will change as well. So let's get started. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the idea of an abandonment wound. You might not consciously think right now that you're afraid of somebody leaving or afraid of abandonment. Abandonment issues can also look like hyper independence, could look like workaholic, could look like the people pleaser, could look like the really nice person. We have these coping mechanisms that have covered this insecurity or this fear that we won't have what we need. My experience, it was me chasing people, me aware that I was afraid people were going to leave. The other side of that coin could be not able to trust people, could be you being suspicious, you not wanting to be open to other people, creating a lot of walls because you don't trust, because of a fear. And there's no wrong or right on either side of those. Those are just different expressions because of our early on dynamics. So we're going way back, little you and the adult caretaker in your life. So somebody at one point in your life was responsible for your sense of safety. They had your physical survival. This person, it could have been just one person, it could have been two people. It could also represent a sibling in there, especially if they're older. You couldn't take care of yourself from a little baby, 6 years old, 8 years old, you're really not aware of what's happening in the world. So you need somebody else to help you to stay alive. So this person has a sense of authority, and also this attachment to this authority figure, this person who can keep you safe, is very important. A sense of belonging. Now, when this gets compromised, both real or perceived, this is when you can start getting attachment wounds. Again, one of that expression, another way to say it would be an abandonment wound, because there's an insecurity that this attachment will maintain. So this person, even though they're responsible for your survival and your safety, that doesn't mean that they're emotionally competent. That doesn't mean they're emotionally mature, or that they have the emotional space to take care of your need. Now, the most important thing you can start to understand is however this person treated you and whatever compromised this and made you feel, oh no, this isn't secure, this isn't going to be maintained, I'm in danger. Again, perceived or real. Maybe this person was really critical, right? When you came up and you said, oh, I want to share this idea, they just started ridiculing everything, and you weren't even actually able to express yourself, and you just felt really insignificant and just maybe stupid, or you felt ashamed, you felt guilty. It's critical for you to understand that why that adult caretaker behaved the way they did had nothing to do with you or what you lacked or what you didn't have. It was never about you. They had their own wounds, their own trauma, and however they treated you was reflecting that and not a reflection of you. Little you don't have an ability to reason. You don't get an ability to reason until about 8 years old at best. Your brain is still maturing, it's still developing. So you're responsible to try to make sense of what's going on. This person has that authority because, again, if you start doubting them, then you're screwed. Who's going to keep you alive? So the reasons why this happened get stored in your self-image. Oh, maybe they were critical, and this isn't something you consciously do. You're trying to make sense of the world. This person did that because of me. I'm just not enough. Maybe I'm not worthy. And maybe your caretaker was emotionally, unavailable. Maybe that looked like them completely being gone and putting you in really risky situations. Maybe they came home every day and they were physically there, but emotionally they were not present. Again, I'm not worthy. If I was worthy, they would be here. They would meet that need. Or you could have thought, if this person's really unhappy, it's my responsibility to make them happy. Then maybe I can maintain this connection. So the reason why this happened is going to be critical. And again, you relate to yourself, to your emotional safety through this person. So why does all this matter? Realize that you're sending out, according to Dr. Joe Dispenza, an electromagnetic signature. Your thoughts and your feelings are the information you're sending out to the universe. The universe then responds back to you and sends you circumstances, people, different things you're drawing to you. So these early on dynamics, your self-concept, your self-image, have been stored inside of you, and that is what you're sending out. So now we go to current day you, and now this person could be your romantic interest. It could be your boss. This could actually also represent money. What you really want to understand right now is why the past is relevant is because it's not in the past. It's still how you view yourself. So you're still sending out the same electromagnetic signature that you got from this misreasoning of yourself. So you're sending that out. So what do you find? You find a reproduction or an echo of this early on energy. So maybe you find a boss that you show up and you really want to please because you want to connect. Because if you're connected, if you got that approval, then you'll be safe. Because that's how you felt over here. This is the caretaker, the parent, and it's getting replayed, it's getting echoed because it's the same energy. It's the same insecure attachment wound. So when maybe they're really critical and you get triggered sometimes because you're not in present day, you get triggered from these wounds back here. And again, maybe you keep finding emotionally unavailable friends or emotionally unavailable partners, romantic partners. And you keep thinking, okay, it must be because I'm just not good enough. This person's there and they say these things, and if I would have just tried harder, I'm just not worthy. If I was worthy, that person would give me the love. Maybe I should try harder. Though that's the way I felt early on. If I just did more, then they would be able to deliver it to me. But what I didn't understand is that it was recreating situations that I both experienced and the perception of the access I had to my needs. So I kept replaying them and I kept drawing to me energetically because realize, Neville Goddard's famous, the feeling is the secret. The feeling is what you're magnetizing to you. The feeling, if you feel deep down at a cellular level, your unconscious level, that you are not good enough, that you are not worthy because of the meaning you gave back here, when you didn't have the mental processor to actually understand, but you gave a meaning back here and you're still feeling it here, hoping that this person will say yes. And this is the biggest thing I can tell you about attachment wounds, about abandonment wounds, is that the issue right now is that when you were a kid, you had to relate to this person because your physical survival depended on it. But the issue now becomes that you continue to try to get this validation, get this permission, get this approval from this outside entity. It's a direct copy of the past. But when you seek out for this energy, for me, it was chasing people. For me, it was trying to prove. I spent 98% of my life, and only in the past couple years did I change it because I became aware of it, looking for approval. I was trying so hard in life to prove that I was worthy, to prove that I was good enough for other people's love. But when I did that and I sought it so hard out here, I actually abandoned myself. And the whole thing that I was doing was trying to get their love so I wouldn't be abandoned. But because I was seeking it solely from them, I was actually energetically abandoning myself, and realized early on it was appropriate, because as a kid, we need that other person to approve of us, to keep us safe, to maybe potentially we self-betray. We reject part of ourselves so we fit in and will belong, because it's a very deep, real need, especially early on. But when we take that old mechanism, not realize that you have the ability to start taking care of yourself now. And when you stop seeking outside of you and you start becoming emotionally available, like, whoa, okay, this person's being really critical. Wow, I'm feeling like I'm not good enough. This is where ABC comes into be. Awareness, okay, I'm getting triggered, and it's triggering these early on wounds, these early on fears that I'm not safe unless this person says yes to me, this person likes me, this person approves of me, this person wants to be in a relationship with me. Or if it's your boss, this person thinks I'm a good employee. There's a fear that gets triggered up. And when it's really, really intense, you know that there's a history to it. Because, okay, I'm starting to get triggered here. I'm starting to not feel good enough. I feel a lot of fear. And Dr. Dan Siegel says, name it to tame it, using your left brain, which is analytical, to become aware of the emotions of that right brain. Get a little bit more reasoning, that complex mind of your adult self, to help process those emotions that you didn't have space for, you didn't have the tools for. So when you start to say, okay, whoa, okay, wow, this person continues to not be emotionally available for me. I expressed a need and maybe they ignored it. Maybe they said I'm asking for too much. You're going to be aware in that moment of what you're feeling. Wow, I feel really rejected right now. And the story I'm telling myself is that I'm not good enough. Okay, I'm going to breathe. I'm going to stay in my body. I'm going to be in the present moment. I'm aware of all these things going on. Okay, what do I need right now? What would help soothe me? How can I take care of myself in 2023 or whatever year you're watching? So the ABCs, awareness of it, breath to regulate that nervous system, and making a new choice. How can you take care of yourself? Because here, you did not have the ability. You had to check in with this person to get the approval so you'd stay safe. But when you use that same dynamic, it continues to echo that same energy. It continues to recreate that early on attachment wound that I'm not safe unless you say I'm good. Now, you might be thinking, oh, well, great. I'm going to check in with myself and I'm going to meet my needs and I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. I don't want to do this. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you get a reflection of who you are being and you keep self-rejecting, what is this person going to do? They're going to match your energy. You're not emotionally available to you. You're going to keep finding people who are not emotionally available to you. This is what I did. I was so emotionally not available to myself. I was so self-rejecting because I was so desperate that if I could prove it to them, then it would make me feel better. Well, what I was missing is one of the most painful things about this is when I abandoned myself. Because I really was empty. I didn't even have my own energy. I was giving it to them, not knowing. But when I started to know better, I started to say, okay, oh, I got to breathe. I'm going to stay in my body. This is really uncomfortable. I've never done this. Okay. And the more and more I did this and made the new choices, the more it made me start to change the way I saw the world. Because realize you don't see with your eyes, you see with your mind. And early on, interpersonal relationships are what shapes your minds and shapes your perceptions. So the only way to break it is to break the energy that you are sending out. So the first thing is to become emotionally available to yourself. So as I started to let go of these old things and started to be there for myself in ways that I couldn't as a kid, it started to change the shape of my mind. So maybe now it's this shape. And so then I could see the world differently. And when I did, I started to say, oh, okay, maybe I did find emotionally unavailable person, but I knew it wasn't because I was unworthy or I was not good enough. I started to move differently and respond differently to the meaning as to why this was happening. I don't actually know if I want this person in my life, as opposed to before I would just chase people. So the more you start to become aware of it, stay emotionally available to yourself, start to heal that by realizing that the meaning you put as why this was happening was outdated and you did it because you didn't have any, you couldn't do any better. You did wonderful because you're here right now watching this video with the ability to see it differently. Start to realize how wonderful, beautiful, whole and complete you were and still are. Start to change the meanings of why people do certain things. If they're being mean, if they're rejecting you, okay, well, it's not because of my worth. Maybe they have their own stuff. Maybe they just don't like me. What meaning are you going to put on other people's behaviors, ways they interact with you? The more that you can start to be aware of this, ABC, awareness, breath, and new choice, the more you can radically change those old abandonment wounds and those old attachment wounds, start to heal them and move differently, because you'll completely see the world in a new way. You'll be sending out a new electromagnetic signature, new thoughts and new feelings, and move in the world in a completely new way. If you want a little bit more help on how you can believe you're worthy and deserving right now, this next video is going to break it all down. Thank you for watching. I love y'all. If you like the video, click like. If you haven't done so, join the community, and I will see you on the next one.